As a result of the Defence Strategic Review, DSR, see separate briefing link below, the Royal Australian Air Force, or RAAF, is being optimised for operating in Australia's immediate region against a peer adversary. The DSR recommended that the highest priority for the Air Force will be placed on the support of maritime, littoral and sustainment operations from Australia's northern base network. More on that later. Unlike the Army and Navy, which are to see significant changes over the next few years, the Air Force is not expected to change drastically as a result of the DSR, with one or two possible exceptions. G'day and salutations. Today's briefing, Australia's Air Force, strengths and deficiencies. This briefing will look at the capabilities the RAF currently has or has projects in place that will be in service by around 2030, and where these capabilities might operate from within Australia. The mainstay of the RAAF's fighter strike capability is the very capable F-35, being able to operate, apart from a strike or fighter aircraft, as an intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance asset and battle manager, sharing information to all networked ground, sea and air assets. The F-35 is at its best when weapons are carried internally, with heavier payloads being delivered by other aircraft. However, weapons can be carried externally, but with resultant impact on the radar cross-section and range payload performance. The RAF has now received the full acquisition of 72 F-35As, with new weapons to be integrated. More on that shortly. Now, there is a possibility the RAF will acquire additional F-35s to replace the FA-18Fs and EA-18Gs, but this may not be the best way forward for the RAF. For strike operations requiring larger weapons, the RAF employs the two-seat FA-18F Super Hornet. Originally purchased as an interim solution to the retirement of the F-111C long-range strike aircraft, it ended up being a long-term solution. It can carry a significant payload, but with a shorter combat radius when compared to comparative aircraft. New weapons are being integrated. Also a two-seat aircraft, the EA-18G Growler is a specialised electronic warfare version of the FA-18F. Unlike the 18F, there is no internal 20mm gun, and the wingtip stations are electronic warfare systems designed for airborne situational awareness and SIGINT gathering. Notably, Australia is the only country outside the US to operate this very specialised and capable aircraft. To support these manned aircraft, Australia, in conjunction with the US, is developing a Loyal Wingman class stealthy multi-role UCAV. The MQ-28 Ghostbat is designed as a force multiplier aircraft, capable of flying alongside crewed aircraft or performing autonomous missions. It utilises a modular mission package where the entire nose can be removed and quickly swapped with another package for various missions, including reconnaissance or electronic warfare. Planned to have a 900 nautical mile or 1,700 kilometre combat radius, it will fly in the high subsonic flight regime and, according to Boeing, have fighter-like manoeuvrability. At this stage, the MQ-28 Ghostbat is designed for ISR and electronic warfare missions, but the intention is to conduct test launches of air-to-air missiles from the Ghostbat by the end of 2025 or early 2026. And finally, the RAF employs the very capable P-8A Poseidon for maritime patrol and strike. These are armed with anti-ship missiles, currently the Harpoon, and anti-submarine lightweight torpedoes, with new weapons to be integrated. To arm these aircraft, the RAF employs the following weapons. For air-to-air, the short-range AIM-9 Sidewinder and the long-range AIM-120 AMRAAM. For air-to-ground, the AGM-88 HARM anti-radiation missile carried by the EA-18Gs. The AGM-154 JSO, which is not a missile but a glide bomb with a weight of 500 kilograms or 1,100 pounds and a range of between 22 to 130 kilometres depending on launch altitude, together with a range of smaller glide bombs. And the AGM-158B Joint Air-to-Surface Standoff Missile. For air-to-maritime targets, the AGM-158C long-range anti-ship missile, a stealthy anti-ship cruise missile derived from the AGM-158B, which has a range of 500 nautical miles or 925 kilometres with a 450 kilogram or 1,000 pound warhead. The DSR has called for them to be integrated onto the FA-18Fs and perhaps other aircraft. The DSR also called for the acquisition of the Joint Strike Missile, the JSM, which is an air-launched derivative of the Naval Strike Missile, the NSM, which Australia has purchased to replace the Harpoon anti-ship missile on its surface combatant force. Importantly, these are designed to be carried internally in the F-35. Its range is between 185 to 555 kilometres. And finally, the Mark 54 lightweight torpedo deployed by the P-8s. The Air Force was also planning on employing a medium-range ground-based air defence missile capability as part of the Australian Defence Force's Integrated Air and Missile Defence System, IADS. Now, while medium range is not further specified, it is required to be able to defend against hypersonic weapons. However, this project has been delayed. Indeed, the Air Force has said that a ground-based solution may not be the best option for Australia. To make the most out of these capabilities, you need enablers or force multipliers, including airborne early warning and control and air refuelling aircraft, that enable the combat aircraft to stay on station for longer, to conduct operations further away, and increase situational awareness. Key for the air refuelers is how much fuel they can offload and at what distance. Key for the AEW and C aircraft is detection range and against how many targets, together with the ability to detect targets with small radar cross-sections. The RAF were the lead operators of the E-7A Wedgetail airborne early warning and control aircraft, which other air forces have also now adopted. It is a fixed, actively electronically scanned array radar located on a dorsal fin instead of a rotating dome. The radar is capable of simultaneous air and sea search and fighter control, with a maximum range of over 600 kilometres. In addition, the radar antenna array also doubles as an ELENT array with a maximum range of over 850 kilometres. The RAF was also the launch customer for the KC-38 MRTT, multi-role tanker transport, which is based on a modified Airbus A330 airframe. The KC-30 has a maximum fuel capacity of 111,000 kilograms or 245,000 pounds without the use of additional fuel tanks, leaving space for 45,000 kilograms or almost 100,000 pounds of additional cargo. It is fitted with both probe and drogue and flying boom refueling capability and can offload 65,000 kilograms or 143,000 pounds of fuel at 1,000 nautical miles or 1,850 kilometres with 2 hours on station. A very good capability and, in my opinion, better than the KC-46. Other force multipliers include the soon-to-be introduced MC-55A Peregrine, a modified Gulfstream G550, used for SIGINT and ELENT gathering. Another that is just coming into service is the MQ-4C Triton, a high-altitude, long-endurance UAV based on the RQ-4 Global Hawk and employed as an intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance aircraft. It will conduct real-time ISR missions over ocean and littoral regions, together with search and rescue missions. It will work closely with P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft, but with the ability to remain on station for significantly longer time and be able to direct P-8s onto targets. In terms of transport aircraft, the C-17 is the premier transport aircraft in the West, and for its size, the RAF operates a large number. It can carry a 77-ton payload, which could include an Abrams tank, 2 Boxer CRVs, or 2 M142 HIMARS multiple launch rocket systems. Australia also operates 12 C-130J Hercules transport aircraft, the world standard in tactical transport aircraft. These are the workhorses of the RAF's air mobility capability and can carry a 20-ton payload. The RAF operates the stretched version of the C-130J with the longer cargo area allowing for more smaller vehicles or pallets to be carried. Australia also operates the Mini Herc or Baby Herc, the C-27J Spartan. It fills an important role where a CH-47 Chinook helicopter may not have the speed and or range, and where the capacity of a C-130 would be wasted. It can carry 60 troops or an 11-ton payload. However, the RAF grounded some of its C-27J Spartan aircraft due to structural cracks found in the fleet. The Air Force has now redefined the role of the C-27Js, designating them as primarily meant for use in humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, or HADR, operations. So the RAAF's aircraft inventory includes the combat aircraft, 72 F-35As, 24 F-18Fs, 12 EA-18Gs, and soon to be 14 P-8As. In terms of transport aircraft, 8 C-17As, moving to 20 C-130Js and 10 C-27Js. In terms of enablers, 6 E-7As, soon to be 4 MC-55As, 7 KC-30As, and soon to be 4 MQ-4Cs. And a new developing capability in terms of UCAVs, soon to be 13 MQ-28 Ghostbats. And in terms of weapons, air-to-air weapons including the AIM-9 and AIM-120, air-to-ground, the AGM-88, AGM-154 and AGM-158B, and for air-to-sea, the AGM-158C, the JASM and the Mark 54 lightweight torpedo. Note, Australia also operates 33 Hawk 127 training aircraft. The objective is for these aircraft to operate out of the following northern air bases: Cocos Island, Learmonth, Derby, Darwin, Katherine, Weipa, Cairns and Townsville. Now, some capabilities are already stationed in these northern air bases, while others will need to redeploy. Any of the aircraft might also operate from foreign bases in the region, including the US Air Base on the island of Guam. Now, nothing in the review means that the RAAF can't or won't operate further afield than the area of primary defence interest, but these bases are the focus of operational planning. In summary, the RAAF has, or will shortly have, all the aircraft capabilities you would expect from a middle power, yet there are deficiencies. Perhaps the most significant is the lack of a medium-range ground-based air defence system, a critical component of an integrated air defence system, in particular one that can counter hypersonic weapons, and that this project has been delayed. Another is the limitations on the C-27J Spartan fleet, i.e. that it is not combat capable, yet it fills an important capability niche. Now, some current deficiencies are in the process of being addressed, including the Loyal Wingman MQ-28 Ghostbat that is not currently armed, but this might be about to be addressed, and long-range standoff surface strike missiles. This is slowly being addressed by way of the JSM being integrated on the F-35, the AGM-158B on the FA-18Fs, and the JSM and/or AGM-158C on the P-8s. A deficiency with no immediate solution is a shortfall of aircrew to maintain high operational tempo for its combat aircraft. Increased aircrew numbers would allow for high tempo, something that would be needed against a peer or near-peer adversary. Of course, one can always mention a lack of airframes as a deficiency, but one must be realistic as to how many aircraft the RAF can operate and how these would fit into the overall Australian Defence Force capability requirements. While a small force, the RAF would not be operating alone but in coalition with the US and others. It is equipped with leading-edge capabilities and trains in the most sophisticated environments. How it might perform against a peer or near-peer adversary remains to be seen. That concludes today's briefing. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like and share, and don't forget to click the notification button. You don't want to miss the next briefing. You never know what it'll be about. Happy to take suggestions for future briefings from members. Until next time, Vale de Cero.